this one actually came in more than any other question that we got this week. And it was, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? So, and since this must be important for your spiritual future, what I have done is I have bought Tootsie Pops for everyone in the room. And immediately after the service, we will distribute these for you all to find out the answer to yourself. Based on my research, it is between 500 and 800 licks, depending on how much saliva you have. All right, so gross. All right, so that was just silly. But we did have some really good questions, and so we're just going to kind of dive right into them. Some of them are pretty serious. Some of them are maybe just something you're curious about. But more than one person talked about this first thing here, and these came in online where they typed it in and came into my email through that online thing, and it says, basically they all came down to something like this. What do you do if your parents don't trust you? What do you do if your parents don't trust you? And in fact, one person talked about how their parents went through their stuff without them knowing it, okay? And maybe you've had your parents do that because they didn't trust you, so they went through your stuff, or maybe they checked your email, or they went through your Facebook, or they didn't trust you, so that kind of thing. What do you do when your parents don't trust you? Now, here's something that most young people don't learn until they're older, okay? Trust is one of the most valuable things that you have with people. Trust is something, it is extremely valuable in relationships, okay? A friendship that you have with other people your age, that friendship will only go as far and be as great as the trust is between the two of you. If you have a lot of trust with that person, that relationship is gonna get more deep. It's gonna be more. That's gonna be your best friend, right? Your bestie, your bestest, your BFF, all that. That is a person you trust the most, right? And the less trust there is, the less close you're gonna feel to that person, and you're gonna be that person. With teachers, trust is important. If you can earn trust with a teacher, you're going to get a lot of grace. I can tell you, I remember, have you ever done the homework assignment? Like you worked really hard on it, and then you left it at home? And then you tell the teacher, I left it at home. And they're like, and you're like, I really did. I worked all night on it. But here's the thing. I remember doing this one time, and I went to the teacher after class. You never do it in front of everyone, because then they have to say no, because they have to say no to you, because they have to say no to everybody else. But I went up after class and I said, look, I really did it. I left it at home. I'm going to bring it right after school. And she goes, I know you. I trust you. I believe you did it. And because I had built up trust with her, I was able to just bring it in and not get any credit taken off. But trust is important. And trust with your parents, that is probably the most important area for you to gain trust from a person. And so having trust or losing trust from your parents is extremely important. So if you would say, okay, my parents don't trust me, my question for you would be, do you think back, look in your life, what have you done in your past that caused your parents to lose their trust in you? And if you say, well, I don't have parents I live with, so whoever you live with, who's in charge of you, okay? Who you go home to and pays the rent for the house that you sleep in, okay? That's the person we're talking about here. What have you done in the past that might have caused them to lose trust in you? Maybe it was you did something you said you wouldn't do. You did something they explicitly told you do not do, right? Maybe you can think of things that if your parents don't trust you, if you look at things in your life, there's something you did a time when you lost that trust. And here's what you have to understand about trust. Trust is gained over time, but it can be lost in an instant. Okay, one action, one moment, trust can go away. One time you gossip and you will lose the trust of your friend. And then it takes long periods of time to gain it back. And you can't gain trust by saying you're going to do something. You can't gain trust with just words. Trust takes time, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, when we're talking about trusting in God. Trust, you have to prove it. And so if someone is going to trust you, and that includes your parents, it's going to take time. If you have damaged the trust for you to rebuild that trust. So how do you rebuild the trust? That's what you really need to know how to do. And you need to build trust with your parents. If not, things are pretty miserable, right? I mean, if your parents don't trust you, you don't get to do a lot of the things that you want to do, even if you are going to do what's right. You need to build trust with them. Now, first of all, you have to be trustworthy. I mean, if you're not trustworthy, you just want your parents to trust you so you can go behind their back, well, you're out of luck, okay? I can't help you there. But if you really want to have your parents trust, let me kind of help you with that. The first thing I think that you need to do is this. You need to recognize what would happen wrong, and you need to make that right with your parents. You need to have a conversation with them where you apologize for what you did. And guess what? That is very scriptural. The Bible says if you're at the temple and you're worshiping and you realize that you have a sin against someone, like your brother or your sister or your parents, okay? If you have there's something like between the two of you, to go make it right. Okay, and then come back and worship. And so here's what I'm kind of getting at. You need to make it right with your parents, what you did. If you've never apologized for that thing that you lost their trust in, you need to. And you might say, well, they're just being silly. It was a stupid rule anyways. Doesn't matter. You need to make it right with them. And if your parents are like my parents, if you go to apologize, you'll probably get another lecture, okay? You know what I'm talking about? You're like, you brought it up, you're saying sorry, you got lectured again, all right? And you're like, man, but you still need to do it. And what you do, you need to tell them this. I would say, I know I can't gain your trust back from one conversation or really quickly, but I want you to know that I am going to start earning it back. And just let them know that. Just say that's what you're going to do. And then you have to earn it back. Then you have to prove your trust. And in fact, I would encourage you this. The things that you do when you have lost trust with a person, ask yourself, will this cause me to lose more trust or gain more trust? Am I being trustworthy, or am I, is it really, they shouldn't trust me because of the way that I act? So live your life, act in a way that is going to gain trust, and then don't expect it to happen overnight, because you have a heart change. See, some of you did something wrong, okay, and you messed up, and now you've truly changed, and you know it in your heart. And that's why you don't understand that your parents won't trust you, because you know you're different. But you see, they have to see it proved out in your life, as a friend would, and as you do with other people. You have to see it proved out. They need to see it proved out. And here's the scripture that you all have heard since you were a very young child. And it says this in Ephesians 6, it says, honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with the promise, that it may go well with you and to live long on the earth, okay? And it says this, honor. Now that is so much bigger than obey. Okay, now if you obey your parents, you're going to start gaining trust with them. But honoring is way bigger than that. Honoring means that you put your attitude in check. You know that little face you make every time your parents tell you something to do? You got to stop that, okay? You got to control the face. I'm telling you, you can get more trouble by what your face does than what you say or do. You know what I'm saying? If I made a face when my dad told me to do something, I might as well have thrown something at him. It was like I was in trouble, because you got to check the attitude. Let me just give you a little tip, okay? When you're around your parents, you need to take your headphones out. I hate this. I'm driving down the street and I see it's a mom and her, she picked up her kid from school, and they're sitting next to him, front seat, kids here with the headphones. I don't want to talk to my mom. I don't want to talk to my mom. And that's not their thing, and they just want to listen to their music. But look, if you want to trust somebody, you have to have a relationship with them. And you can't have a relationship with somebody you don't talk to. So if you want to build trust with your parents, you've got to talk to them, which means taking those headphones out and having a conversation, a real conversation with them. You're like, but you don't know my parents. I can't talk to them. You got to try. You got to put in effort, or you won't regain the trust, okay? Let's see, did I have anything else? Have real conversations, and realize your parents aren't perfect, okay? They're not perfect people. But the Bible doesn't say if your parents aren't perfect, you don't have to honor them. So honor them. It'll go well with you. You'll regain some trust. And here's the last thing I wanted to address, because I don't know the basis of your questions, so it makes them really hard to make it short. You may say, my parents don't trust me, and I haven't done anything wrong. It's like, I can't think of anything, but they still won't trust me. Now, there's a lot of ways we could go with this, but I'll just go this route. There are some areas as a teenager that your parents, it's not that they don't trust you, it's that they are more wise than you about things. Okay, for example, when I was a teenager, I never slept with my girlfriend, but my parents still wouldn't let me go alone in my bedroom with her. Now, were my parents, did they not trust me to not be alone in the bedroom? I don't know. But they knew it was not smart. It wasn't wise. You may say, well, all of my friends can go to this place, can go to this party. My parents don't trust me to go. Well, your parents believe it's not wise. It has nothing to do with trust in you, but it is in their care for you and love for you. And you may not like it, but they have other things in mind, and it's your protection. And it's not that they don't trust you, it's that they care about you, and they might have some wisdom that you don't have as a teenager, because guess what? You don't know it all yet. I know we all think we do. I don't know it all yet, okay? I have to listen to older people that know more than me, and so should you. All right, let's go on to another one.